feel that chill upon the air. There's smiling faces everywhere. It's such a wondrous affair. Show me the magic. I'll keep you warm this winter night. You bring a tree, I'll bring a light.
Today, Alfie Moo is all about your sleeping and how you turned from a little rascal who never, ever slept, ever, to somebody who now sleeps 11 hours. And someone's just woken up from their morning nap, and I think they've done a poo-poo. So I shall go change that, and then I shall be back. Right, we're in. I'm a little bit worried it's gonna be quite echoey in here, because as you can tell, we still don't have bedside tables or pictures apart from these ones up on the wall. Let's see how it goes. I've got my little notes here because there is quite a bit to cover. Also, can we just appreciate the Christmas music? We are putting a Christmas song over the top of this because it's Christmas very, very soon and I want to get into the spirit. So whilst we're talking about sleeping, we can incorporate a little bit of Christmas vibes as well. So let's dive right into today's how I got my baby to sleep through the night and how we developed his nap routine, day routine, sleep routine, and all the rest of it. Please don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to see new videos every single week, and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it because it really helps to support my channel. Okay, so I feel like I should give you a little bit of background first to the situation that we were in, because I know some babies from the word go are naturally very good sleepers, and therefore when they sleep through the night from 4 months, it all seems very easy, and I was very jealous of my friends, the babies who did that, because sleep is it's a torture tactic. Like, lack of sleep is just horrendous, and I feel like it is the hardest part of parenthood. So just to recap on what he was doing, in case your baby is doing the same thing. First and foremost, the dummy was one of our issues, so he would wake up during the night 24/7 because the dummy had fallen out and he couldn't find it and wanted to have it back in. As soon as it was back in, he was absolutely fine, but he needed it to go to sleep, be it during the night or during the day. And that was definitely an issue for us in terms of getting him to learn to sleep by himself. Whilst I loved the dummy, I thought it was super cute, and I think it helped him during the day on different occasions. It was one of the best things we did, getting rid of it. This is all personal. I should probably just put a big disclaimer here saying I'm not saying that what we did will work for your baby. I know every single baby is different, and I'm not claiming that I know it. I'm just sharing my experience because I had loads and loads of people ask me to do so on Instagram. So I'm just putting it out in case it helps anybody. I'm not saying that it is necessarily the right thing to do. So dummy issue was number one. The second issue, he would never sleep past 30 minutes. I mean, like, one time out of 50, he might sleep to 45 minutes. But during the day, it was always 30 minutes on the dot. We put the timer on, put the app on. At 30 minutes or maybe 31 minutes, he would wake up without fail and not be able to put himself back to sleep. And then we would come into the room, maybe try and help him go back to sleep, but realistically he would get too excited, then want to start to play, and it was all just a bit of a nightmare. During the night, he definitely would sleep for more than 30 minutes. He's always done a good 5-hour stint at the start. That's always been there since he was a little baby, and I'm very, very, very thankful for that. But pretty much from kind of 12 o'clock onwards, that's when we started to have a bit of a nightmare. So the dummy, the 30-minute naps, the feeding to sleep. So I never had an issue with giving him a bottle to go to bed. I always thought it was very natural. There's lots of evidence that does say it is very natural in terms of that sucking motion sending us to sleep, and it's kind of something that we have developed, and I think one of the tricks of the boobs. But there was a big issue in that when he would wake up in the middle of sleep times, he wouldn't then be able to put himself back to sleep because he had so strongly associated the drinking with the sleeping, and we needed to find a way to break that, which we now have, which I'm going to explain. I don't want to say feeding to sleep is an issue. It was just an issue for us in terms of what we were trying to accomplish, because for the first 5 months it worked wonders, and I think it was a really good thing and a very natural thing to do, especially in the first few months of their life. But perhaps we just took it on a little bit too long in terms of his association with it. And then the last one we needed to overcome was a routine. So Alfie never had a routine up until we started sleep training. I tried many a time, but it always failed because he never slept past 30 minutes. So I never was able to get into some kind of rhythm. And then, to be honest, at the start, I kind of thought, actually, it kind of suits me not having a routine. I quite like being able to pick up and go and just let him sleep when he wants to sleep. So personally, when we have hopefully baby number 2, I would probably do the same thing for the first few months, but I would have implemented a routine sooner than we did, which was around 5 months. So I would have tried to implement a lot of these habits, which we learned a lot earlier on, probably around 4 months, even some of them around kind of 3 months, and then eventually got into the routine a little bit more full on slightly before we did with Alfie, because it means we slept. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background, not to talk about Alfie, but just in case any of those things that he was doing you feel relate to you, then maybe this might help. Okay, so let's start kind of from the top. So with the dummy was something that we did before we had the consultation with the sleep trainer, because of the fact that he was waking up during the night searching for it, and just from talking to friends and other mums, we knew that it was something that we had to change. So how we did it, we went completely cold turkey, and we first took it away from him on his nighttime feed. We figured that was the time that he was the most sleepy, the most willing to go to sleep. He's always done that kind of good 5-hour stint at the start. He has a really early bedtime, around 6:30. And at that time we were still doing milk to sleep. So we did milk to sleep, and then we didn't give him his dummy. That first night was a little bit brutal. He definitely woke up a few times doing a sucking motion, but what we made sure to do was replace the dummy with a comforter. So he has a little bear comforter, which I will get right now. So this is Bear, really easy for him to snuggle and hold, and a nice little comforter. And what we found is, whilst we gave this to him months before we took away from the dummy, he didn't actually start using it until he got rid of the dummy. And I guess it's that dependency thing. Maybe he wasn't dependent on both, but he wanted to be dependent on something. And now this little bear is incorporated in every single nap and every single sleep time. I have tried to get another one of these, and I'm sure a lot of people is going to ask where it's from. It's from Lywood, but I've had a look on their website. I've had a look where our friend bought it for us, which is Smallable, and I can't find him anywhere. So if I do find him, I'll link it below, but if you don't see a link, that is why. So first step was the dummy, and I actually quite like doing that in stages rather than all at once, because I feel like it's a little less brutal. We knew that we were going to do sleep training at some point in the near future, and we knew they were going to say we had to get rid of the dummy, so we just thought we would do that a little bit in advance so that he didn't have everything thrown at him at once. Just getting rid of the dummy in itself was a real game changer. He definitely woke up less during the night in terms of looking for the dummy, and even during the day, whilst we were still doing all the bouncing and all the rocking and all the things that we eventually had to get rid of, I do feel like it helped him. So yeah, the dummy took around 3 days. We went completely cold turkey. We haven't introduced it back since. The only time I am going to give it to him is when we fly home to the UK on the plane, because it's good for their ears. And last time when we went to the Maldives, we got stuck out with that because we didn't have one, and we only brought the bottle, and then he ended up gasping air, and that played havoc with his tummy that night. So that was a real fail. So yeah, I will bring a dummy on the plane, but other than that, he hasn't had one since we dropped it around 2 months ago. And then from here, I'm basically gonna dive into the full-on sleep training, what we did, how we did it, and what that means for us now. So when we met with the sleep trainer, I explained all the issues that I've told you guys at the beginning of this video, and the first point of call was starting to implement a routine, along with dropping the association of feeding to sleep, along with dropping the association of us rocking and swaying him and shushing him in order to go to sleep. Let's start from how we worked it out. So she said to us, what time do you want to get up in the morning? What time is suitable for you? What time do you think is Alfie's kind of natural awake time? In all honesty, I think his natural awake time is around 5:30, but we went for a 6:30 awake time. Ideally, we would love to wake up at 6:30. That's when we would love him to sleep until. So in order to encourage a 6:30 a.m. wake up time in the morning, we would work backwards and do bedtime at 6:30. So this is our current routine for him. I'm just gonna get my routine here so I don't mess this up. So 6:30 a.m. we wake him up, if he's not already awake, which he is 100% of the time. But 6:30 a.m. would be the ideal wake up time, and then we introduced a bottle as soon as he woke up. Now obviously he was always used to having his bottle before he went to bed, so this was really difficult at the start to get him to eat as soon as he woke up because he wasn't used to it. So full disclaimer, we used the TV a lot in the first few weeks, and now we've had to wean him off the TV, associating that with eating, but a lot of the time it was the only way we could get him to eat, because otherwise he just wanted to get up and play, and we just needed to find a way to get that connection with eating after waking. So we did use the TV, it worked, and now we are off the TV. But anyway, 6:30 a.m. wake up, and then you feed.
I tell you, babe, you're never alone.
So far we had ticked off the dummy in terms of reliant to go to sleep. We had ticked off the not needing to feed to go to sleep after this was implemented for a few weeks. And then the other big thing was his routine of going to sleep. So as I said, normally it was rocking and shushing and all the rest of it. So the new routine is as follows. Anytime he had any nap or going to bed at night, this is what we do. So we bring him into the room 10 minutes prior to that sleep time that we know he's going to be doing. I put him in a sleeping bag in the bed. I bring him over to the blinds with me, let him shut the blinds. This isn't necessary, but we feel like it's another sleep cue, which is really nice. And after he's been put in a sleeping bag, he comes to me, we sit down in the rocking chair and we read 2 to 3 to 4 books. I know when he'll want to stop reading the books, when he basically stops pushing them away. So I kind of let him direct that as long as it's no more than kind of 10-15 minutes. He has Bear in his arms the whole way while we're doing this, and I will offer him a sip of water so that he's hydrated before he goes to sleep and he's not got a dry mouth or anything like that. And then I will pick him up. I will sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That's the song we picked, but the recommendation is that you pick any song that you think works for you. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is easy, and we don't sing it any other time of the day now for kind of like playtime or anything, so it's a sleep time song. Then I will kiss him on the cheek and say, good night Alfie, bedtime now Alfie, good night Alfie, and put him down in the crib. He will normally roll over into his side, and then I will give him a kiss on the cheek and say, good night baby, and leave the room and shut the door. And now that is what works every single time, or 95% of the time, for naps and sleeps. And it was really, really, really difficult in that first week. And that is basically the sleep training, which I'm gonna put up the timetable for now. This is kind of the crux of this video. How long do you let them cry it out for? How long until you go in? How do you comfort them? And all the rest of it. But I just kind of wanted to give you a bigger picture first. So that is the sleep ritual. That is what we implemented along with the feeding once you wake up, along with the routine that I just talked through. And that has, I guess, got us to where we are now. One addition, for the first 4 weeks of the sleep training, he was still having a bottle during the night, and that was a little bit problematic because he was then pooing after that bottle, which was waking him up earlier. But after getting the reassurance, I guess, from my pediatrician a few weeks ago to say that he definitely can drop his bedtime feed, he's not hungry, it's just habit, I have now stopped that, and now it is when he's sleeping through 11 hours because he's not waking up because he's pooed himself, and he has learned that it was just a routine and that he's not actually that hungry, or he's not hungry during the night. So sometimes it just takes an expert saying they're not hungry, they're okay, they're growing really well, they're putting on weight really well, they're having more than enough food, they're having 3 meals a day, he's okay, he's not hungry when he's crying. So that did take me a little while to drop that night feed. I know a lot of babies drop it a lot sooner than Alfie did, but dropping that night feed was really instrumental to get him sleeping through the night. The recommendation from our sleep consultant, if your baby is still doing a night feed and you want to try and wean them off that, is to drop that night feed by 30 mils each time. So if they're normally having 200 on it, take it down to 170, then take it down to 140, maybe do 140 for a few nights, drop it down to 110, etc, 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 until they're having less and less, and then you're probably gonna have to face a little bit of crying it out. So I'm gonna create a graph and pop it up here so it's really easy. You can pause this video, screenshot it, take a picture of it on your phone. But the controlled crying is broken up into different days. So when you first start, it's a lot more gentle. So day 1, for example, you would wait 3 minutes after they started crying before you go in. But the important thing is that when you go in, you do not pick them up. You just repeat the same thing that you do in your sleeping ritual, which is bedtime now, Alfie, good night, Alfie, sleep time now, Alfie, kiss on the cheek, leave. It's a comforting thing just to let them know that you're there, to let them hear your voice, and to keep saying the same thing that you do every single time before they do a nap during the day or during the evening, so that they really start to associate those words with bedtime now, good night, Al, good night, Al, good night now. Even so, on the 5% of times where he is being tricky and he doesn't want to sleep, let's say for his afternoon nap, which sometimes he doesn't, now when I say good night, Alfie, and if he doesn't want to sleep, he will kick up a fuss because he recognizes that phrase with sleep time. So the first day, for example, you would hit your timer, 3 minutes, you would go in. Then the second time you would wait 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes, keep going. Then the second day changes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. So the time periods extend. Changing the time differences between each day, between each wait, and making it get longer and making it random in a sense to Bubba is really important, because then they won't learn that, oh, okay, after 5 minutes, mommy or daddy is gonna come in and pick me up and comfort me, and then will pick me up eventually if I keep crying every single 5 minutes. Realistically, I would say it took us 3 weeks. It took us 5 days of what felt like brutal controlled crying, because I had never let him cry before, so it was just horrific and all brand new, and I hated it, and I actually got sick after the first 5 days because I got a sore throat and I was just really stressed with it all. When we had baby number 2, I would definitely let them gurgle and whinge a little bit more than I did with Alfie, but maybe that's just first time mum and not knowing what to do and not wanting to hear your baby cry. So the changing in times is really important, and the other thing that's really important is to put a timer on. If you don't put the timer on, you're much more likely to think that 2 minutes is actually 5 minutes, because hearing a baby cry, hearing your baby cry is not enjoyable. uncomfortable and you just want that to stop, and you know you can make it stop. So a timer is really important in order to kind of stick to what you're doing. What we got taught was to make sure that timer restarts once your baby stops crying. So if they've been crying for 3 minutes, let's say, and then they stop crying but just kind of make a bit of gurgling noises or kind of talking to you or end up playing with something in their bed and then start crying again, you have to restart that timer, but you haven't gone in yet. So there is a little bit of precision work with it, which can be really, really tough. So I would say certainly 5 days of more brutal, controlled crying, and then the next 3 weeks was still very much a learning curve. Like, it doesn't happen straight away. You have to be militant with it, you have to stick to it, you have to be consistent with it, and eventually they will learn that actually when you put them down, you are putting them down. And even if they do cry for 3 minutes, for 5 minutes, you're not going to come and pick them back up. And it doesn't work every single time. On occasion he will still cry and want attention to be put down or want to be put to sleep, but that is very few and far between now, and it just makes that putting down for a nap so much easier. So I actually recorded us on his morning nap today, so I thought I would just show you this little clip here.
And show me the magic.
Just the final 2 things that were mentioned to us in the consultation was, number 1, make sure that the room is warm enough. We always knew that babies needed to be warm at night. That wasn't kind of news to us, but I think just being reminded of that, making sure it wasn't too cold, making sure they had the right amount of layers on or the right tog of a sleeping bag was important, because I guess if they're cold, well, as we were taught, if they're cold, they will wake up sooner than they should. And the other thing was, it's absolutely fine to use white noise. It's a really good thing to have on. So we put the white noise on every time, which I guess you would have just seen from that clip there. So that's it. That's our sleep training in a nutshell. I really hope that was helpful. I really hope that I covered that in enough detail. But if you have any questions on what we have done, please feel free to pop it down below and I will 100% get back to you. And if you want my sleep consultant details, I will send them to you as well. But thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you will have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. We'll be doing a little vlog on Christmas Day and announcing the winners to all of our 12 Days of Christmas giveaway very soon as well. So please don't forget to hit subscribe. As I said, give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. And good luck, mums and dads. Good luck with your babies. Good luck with sleep training. Oh, it's so hard. It is one of the hardest things, and it didn't come easy for us at all. And Alfie was not a natural sleeper, and I just wish I perhaps knew a lot of this stuff earlier on and had tried it earlier on and had not put in bad habits early on. So anyway, I hope it will help 1 or 2 others, because it has changed our lives a little bit having a baby that can now sleep through the night and sleeps a lot easier during the day. Have a lovely Christmas, and I will see you all very soon.